So, I mean, his deck does the same thing. It can't really change. It's always going to be a mill deck.
Yeah, yeah, you're always controlling. We're using Restoration Angels and Augur Bolus as a way to get card advantage and then block.
Yeah.
So, congratulations again to Joe, a player from Houston, not New Orleans, as I said. I do apologize. Someone on Twitter did correct me, so I appreciate that.
There's a huge difference between those two players.
I appreciate that, Taylor Spain, very much. We see Ben Friedman on the left, Michael Hetrick on the right, Esper Control versus the Aristocrats Act 2. Looks like we'll find out what game we're in. I can't imagine that we're in game 1.
Yeah, this looks like at least game 2 because there is a intangible virtue in play, and we know that's in Ben's sideboard.
Yeah, and that's part of his sideboard plan of changing into a token deck. As you see, he has 4 copies of Lingering Souls in his main deck, 1 copy of Sword of Lord of Innistrad in his main as well to go along with the 3 in his sideboard, and then he does have those 3 intangible virtues, so he turns into a drastically different deck.
Yeah, and I was talking to Zvi about this matchup earlier, and he said that Esper is one of the matchups that you really don't want to face if you're the Aristocrats Act 2. Game 1's kind of rough. Game 2, it gets a little bit better for Esper, whereas it gets a little bit, because Ben has cards like Blasphemous Act in game 1, which really don't do much against Esper. Again, you have your combo, but it's unlikely to really do much. After board, Esper Control gets a little bit better, but Ben's able to bring in cards like the Intangible Virtues to help make his token plan a little bit better, more Sorin Lords of Innistrad, copies of Duress, and Obsidian Ghost Council. So definitely gets a lot better for Ben after board. And the Esper deck, it really depends on what they're doing. Cards like Planar Cleansing are actually really, really good. But again, Planar Cleansing isn't as good against as Terminus against the Aristocrats.
Yes.
So it's sort of tough. You're in a position where Planar Cleansing would be great here, but if you're facing down Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, you kind of want a Terminus.
Yep.
So which 6-mana sweeper do you play? Generally, most people play Planar Cleansing because it's a little bit better against Jund as well. Yeah. So we haven't really seen people move to Terminus just yet.
We do see there are 2 copies of Planar Cleansing in Hetrick's sideboard. That's not a card that you normally see in the sideboard. I know that Ben Stark and Pro Tour Montreal had 1 in his main deck to be able to draw to be, get him out of some sticky situations. This would probably be one of them that he can get himself out of. So you see 2 in the sideboard of Hetrick's deck. Maybe he found out that people were maybe on this sideboard plan for the Aristocrats Act 2. So if he is able to find one of those, he can get himself out of what looks to be a pretty difficult situation. And you do see up there now the scoreboard has been updated. Friedman is up a game.
Yeah, and it's surprising because, again, from everyone I spoke to, this matchup definitely favors Esper game 1. But it looks like if Ben's able to pull out the first game, he's in a pretty good shape because he has a lot of cards that are just frustrating for a control deck to deal with after board. Between Duress being able to take a Planar Cleansing and just Intangible Virtue allowing you to commit, and Sorin allowing you to commit threats to the board without overcommitting and extending yourself into a Wrath, it's definitely a tough deck to deal with.
As we're going to see a second Intangible Virtue here from Ben. Last turn we saw Hetrick just attack that Sorin Lord of Innistrad down to 1 counter. Second Intangible Virtue is going to resolve here. And so you see Ben sorting through the cards in his hand. You see a Blood Crypt, you see another Scourge Stack High Priest. He's figuring out what he wants to do this turn. What do I want to attack with? Sorin is going to, of course, go up. It can't go down now. But what do I want to run into here? Azorius Charm. You see a Tragic Slip in Hetrick's hand. Hetrick holding those cards in one hand, his hand on his head in the other. You have to consider a lot of things here. As he might have. I mean, he certainly has something. Yeah, what is that something?
He has lines, but the interesting thing here is Ben has a Blood Artist, and I'd be surprised if he didn't play the Blood Artist. After you could technically play it before combat, but because you have to imagine Ben knows that Planar Cleansing is probably a really good out here. So why not play the Blood Artist and do more damage?
Yep.
Blood Artist isn't going to get that much better after a Wrath. You don't have a huge follow-up. I think he has a High Priest in his hand, but your main follow-up is just going to be upticking Sorin.
Yeah. So now you see Hetrick considering his options. He has plenty of instances in his hand. He has a Think Twice. He has an Azorius Charm, and you see him kind of reach with that Azorius Charm, then put it back. How do I want to craft this game? How do I get myself out of the situation, especially when I'm down a game in a matchup that I don't think I expect to be down a game in?
Yeah. The good news is, though, because the Restoration Angel, he's able to attack the Sorin next turn, so a Supreme Verdict is an additional out. He doesn't really need the Planar Cleansing anymore. Although, it's not that bad shape for him. The only issue is he still has to deal with a High Priest, which is going to be annoying. He's going to just keep making 5/5.
I think that card's the definition of annoying, right?
Yeah.
You see that little 1/2 there, it doesn't really attack very well, but you always have to play, you have to build your games around playing around that thing making a 5/5.
So it looks like Hetrick has a Tragic Slip, so he might be able to deal with the Blood Artist here. Although if he kills the Blood Artist, he's going to have to deal with a 5/5 demon. So it looks like he's just going to try to draw cards here. He leaves a black up in case he wants to Tragic Slip.
So now we're going to see Think Twice. Augur Bolus is the card that Hetrick does draw. He is going to untap. Looks like, yeah, okay. So he is going to untap. He's going to draw a new card. That card is going to be a Sphinx Revelation, which is not particularly great right now.
So Restoration Angel is probably going to attack the Sorin here. So step 1, he deals with the Sorin.
Yep.
Although 2 intangible virtues, it's going to be tough to deal, because if Ben draws a Lingering Souls, it's going to be really tough for Michael to deal with those. So I'd imagine Restoration Angel probably comes over to deal with the Sorin. Augur Bolus might come down to try to dig for that planar cleansing.
Yep. That's what you're going to see here.
I believe Hetrick also has a Snapcaster Mage, isn't it?
See him find an ultimate price, a Sphinx Revelation, and a Snapcaster Mage. So he's going to take the ultimate price, give himself a removal spell here.
And I like that play because now he can deal with the Skirk High Priest and the Blood Artist with the Tragic Slip. So
Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, is going to bite the dust via Restoration Angel. Hetrick is going to play a tapped Goblet Shrine, and it looks like we're going to see him pass the turn back with access to those removal spells, with access to Snapcaster Mage for maybe a surprise block if he wants to go that route. Plenty of options available at 3 mana, as we're going to see Friedman untap. He's going to draw a card, and let's see what his follow-up is going to be.
And we knew he drew a Doom Traveler, I believe, because it was in his Aura's Church. So 2 vampires can come over, one of them can get blocked. There are 3/3s currently. He can trade with the Augur Bolus if he wants to. Looks like Doom Traveler might come down just in case.
It looks like pre-combat here.
Pre-combat, because that way he can activate High Priest if the Augur dies during combat. And Mike won't really be able to respond. Although we know Michael does have an ultimate price, so he can choose to just ultimate price the High Priest here if he wants to.
So you see Hetrick take the time to consider his decision here again. What happens if I take care of that High Priest? What happens if I kill one of these tokens that are attacking me? Can I even afford to chump block here with the Augur Bolus? His life total is certainly under duress here. I mean, he's at 11, but
I think he's actually in pretty good shape. Yeah, you kill the High Priest here, you take 1, dropping down to 10. I don't mind chump blocking here, although you have the Tragic Slip. So he decides to Tragic Slip a token or the Blood Artist?
It looks like he's targeting the Blood Artist. We'll find out for sure in just a second.
Yeah,
I see a little bit of a change. Okay, so he's going to go after a token. Okay, so maybe he just doesn't fear the Blood Artist all that much. We'll see.
I'm surprised he didn't just go after the Blood Artist, because I don't think those tokens. I mean, granted, they're 3/3s. I don't think they're that big a deal though, because you do have a Restoration Angel which you can hold back, and you have a Sphinx Revelation in your hand. So my main concern would be get my life total just keep chipping away from the Blood Artist, and then even if if I'm in a position where I have to Wrath, then I take 1 damage for every creature on the board. Currently, that would be 6 damage. You know, so you really Blood Artist can be very frustrating to contend with at a certain point in the game. So let's see, with the second Priest, it's going to be another annoying card here. But again, I don't think Michael's in that bad shape. He does have a Sphinx Revelation. He has a Snapcaster Mage. He still has that Jace, which can actually is not that bad of a card because Ben doesn't really want to be attacking Jace.
So you see Ben untaps, he rubs his hand together, and he draws a card. Can't there's no Cruel Ultimatum for it to call a shot. So I don't know what kind of card he's looking for right now. But we see Doom Traveler, unafraid, coming on in.
And this is where Blood Artist is just very annoying, because Michael can't really block here.
And he can't block because of both Blood Artist and the High Priest. But you see he is going to cast a Sphinx Revelation for 3. I think it is 3 lands that he draws. It is 3 lands to go along with that Jace and those other blue cards there. And it looks like he's happy to take 1. Yeah. You're going to see Ben play a Sacred Foundry and just pass the turn back. So Hetrick, probably feeling good, does dodge a bullet as you see Supreme Verdict to the draw here.
But again, he would end up going to 2, which he might be okay with.
End up going to 2, and then
the Doom Traveler token comes.
The Spirit token comes into play, and it's a 3/3.
3/3, yeah. So that's why I feel like you have to deal with the Blood Artist that turn. But again, I don't hate Michael's board here because he could just play the Jace. Or does he have another Revelation, maybe?
It doesn't look like he's in the Revelation. He's just playing very conservative here, it looks like. As you're going to see Ben draw a card, it's a Duress.
So it can't take the Snapcaster, so that's fine. But yeah, not much Michael can do in response. So lets the duress resolve.
Shows the contents of a Supreme Verdict, a Jace, Memory Adept, an Augur of Bolas, a Snapcaster Mage, a Drowned Catacombs, and a Glacial Fortress here. So if you're Friedman in this situation, what card are we taking?
I think I take the Jace, to be honest. I'm not that afraid of... If he casts Supreme Verdict, I think he just dies.
Well, if you scan the graveyard here, you see the Snapcaster Mage, which can bring back that Tragic Slip or that Ultimate Price, take care of the Blood Artist, and then the green light is on to be able to Supreme Verdict maybe.
But even then, he loses all the creature and he still has to contend with a 3/3 token flyer. So I think Jace is annoying because I was actually surprised that Michael didn't play the Jace last turn. I think he might have wanted to play the Jace. Maybe he's just too afraid of the Blood Artist, so I think he's going to try to pull the trigger on killing the Blood Artist now.
Sure.
And then playing the Jace. He needed to just have Ben brick on a discard spell for one turn. So maybe he just wanted to play a little more cautiously.
So now you see Friedman figuring out, all right, what are my best attack steps here? My Blood Artist is probably going to bite the dust. Do I get any value? Friedman does just pass the turn back. Looks like he's not attacking.
I think he knows Michael can just cast a Snapcaster and get Tragic Slip and kill the Blood Artist.
Sure. And now you're going to see a Think Twice here. Glacial Fortress is the draw step.
And I still... I guess you don't really want to... Yeah, you don't want to use the Snapcaster just yet, because you could always use it on a Sphinx of Revelation.
You see Azorius Charm is the draw here for hetrick. Not a bad draw.
Yeah, not a bad draw.
A lot of flexibility with
Allows
that
him
card.
to deal with an attacker without actually having to kill it.
Yeah, and we've seen Friedman the willingness to come across with just that one Doom Traveler. So if he does do that again, Azorius Charm is a huge blowout.
Surprised Augur Bolas didn't come down.
Me too, a little bit.
Yeah, you really want to find that planar cleansing, or you want to find maybe another Sphinx of Revelation.
And now you see Cartel Aristocrat
Oh, wow.
is the draw.
I think we're going to have a response to this.
I've got a feeling you may be right about that. As hetrick now is taking a moment.
Yeah.
And you're going to see Snapcaster Mage come into play. We'll see what this is going to target here, as this card changes a lot of different things.
Yeah, this makes it very difficult. He has to respond. Again, he's going to be able to kill either a Blood Artist or a High Priest, but either way, Ben's going to probably be able to start making 5/5s, which means that Supreme Verdict is probably going to have to come down at some point.
So now you see Ultimate Price take care of that Blood Artist. You're going to see a drain and a gain. Friedman should move up to 27. Hetrick probably down to 7 as long as our light tools are correct. So we are correct there. And now it looks like we're going to see a demon being made here. Yes, no, maybe so.
And that's fine for Michael, because the Azorius Charm was a great rip last turn, because now he's going to be able to untap, he can cast Supreme Verdict, he can cast Augur Bolas, and then he still has an Azorius Charm to deal with the Spirit Token off the Doom Traveler. So pretty good shape still for Michael.
So now you do see hetrick.
See if we attack. Oh,
he's
no attack.
for Supreme Verdict. I think the damage probably doesn't matter with Friedman at 27. Hetrick is just going to be on the mill plan as usual with the value drown yards. You're going to see all these creatures go bye-bye. You're going to see Doom Traveler go away as well. You're going to see that Spirit Token come into play. And as you said, we'll probably see an Augur Bolas and a Azorius Charm here.
Yeah. And the one thing that Michael sort of needs to be aware of is the time. We're less than 20 minutes. He's down a game, and his deck doesn't win quickly. So he's likely going to win this game, so he needs to start picking up the pace, which it looks like he is doing. He kind of realizes that now.
And you see him starting to pick up the pace a little bit as you see another Intangible Virtue off the top for Ben. You're going to see an attack here, and we are going to see an Azorius Charm. That token is gone for good, and now Michael is turning the corner, and he's untapping his lands very fast. As he knows he's turned the corner in a big way. Coming in for 1 now, 26. You see the Revelation in his hand. This is exactly where Esper wants to be. Stable board. I mean, in an ideal world, this is where any Magic player wants to be. Sphinx of Revelation versus the opponent with no cards in hand. But this is exactly what Esper tries to accomplish, and he's going to main phase this right away. He's going to tap out, draw a bunch of cards, gain a bunch of life, and we'll see if Friedman is going to try to play this game out for the clock management part of it. As you do see, Ben does draw a duress for the turn, or because Hetrick is playing very fast now.
Yeah, I think Ben has to probably be aware that he's not likely going to win this game.
Yeah.
He's probably going to lose this game, which means that they're going to go into Game 3 no matter what. But Ben has a better chance of winning in a short amount of time than Michael does. So I don't really see Ben conceding just yet. He's gonna make Michael go through the motions a little bit more.
I remember, draw's no good for either one of them.
No,
neither player wants to draw.
Neither player wants to draw, but I think that Ben's kind of in a better position than Michael is right now. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right, so we're going to see Hetrick discard a Watery Grave. He does play an Augur Bolas. His Azorius Charm goes to the hand. You see Ben is going to draw a Sorin here. Let's see if that does resolve. And it looks like it is going to resolve, so he's going to get a 4/4 Vampire token here.
And Restoration is going to come down. It can attack it for a couple turns.
You see a blinking here. You see Think Twice. Supreme Verdict's going to go to the bottom. We'll see Hetrick cast a Think Twice. So a little bit of velocity here as he's going to draw a card. He looks like he's going to flashback as well. So yeah, just perfect mana for the turn.
And he's going to be able to deal with the Sorin with the Restoration Angel. But again, time is not on his side right now. He has to tick it up.
Tick.
And it's frustrating because his deck just requires a lot of manipulation. Like, he has to do all this stuff.
This is how Esper works.
Yeah, it just takes up time. So even though he's in a good board position right now, it doesn't really matter.
You see all those guys go towards Sorin. You see him pull the Azorius Charm. All right, put that on top, so that's going for good. You're not going to gain any life, so Sorin's dead. You know, he might play a land here if he hasn't yet and just pass the turn back, which he plays a Water Grave and just says go. So let's see what Ben's able to draw. Ben draws a Doom Traveler, sure. Hetrick says, all right, mill you for 3. Untap, upkeep, draw.
Attack for 6, move him right.
Yeah, Rest in Peace is the draw step here.
Interesting, Rest in Peace. I guess dealing with Lingering Souls.
Yeah, there are some cards that it can interact with here.
Yeah, and actually good interaction with Doom Traveler and the High Priest and the Blood Artist. So
and Tragic Slip as well if he does. And I think he probably has to leave those in to deal with Restoration Angel and stuff. So there are actually Rest in Peace doesn't seem like it'd be good against this deck, but a lot of cards for him to interact with.
Yeah.
And
I guess it just, granted, it kind of turns off his Snapcaster Mages.
But the one thing,
it makes his Think Twice a little
The one
worse,
thing that you do see, as Hetrick did mill over, and he's going to play Rest in Peace. I was going to bring up, was he actually going to cast Rest in Peace? Does he want Friedman to know that he has it for the sideboarded games, anything like that? And now Friedman does concede, so Michael Hetrick does win game number 2 over Ben Friedman. The Aristocrats Act 2 versus Esper Control. We're going to be going to a third game here with about 15 minutes left on the clock. We don't know if there's any extensions from maybe a judge call or something like that, but both players are shuffling pretty quickly. As you see, Hetrick doesn't even go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
He's ready to game, baby.
And I think Ben may be trying to adjust the strategy. Maybe he's going from a play-draw, different style here. But, yeah, again, Esper, if it has time, it seems like it just has an advantage in this matchup. In general. Again, Zvi mentioned how after board, there are even cards like Curse of Deathhold that we've been seeing Esper players starting to play now, which is very good against Aristocrats Act 2. I wouldn't be surprised if this Aristocrats Act 2 starts getting played more and more, then you see more and more people start playing cards like Curse of Deathhold, because it is very, very good against this deck. And one of the reasons that Zvi and Sam Black added Intangible Virtue to their sideboard was because they were expecting more people to start playing Curse of Deathhold again.
Sure, but that innovation would actually finally begin to take place. Very quickly, as these two players do shuffle up and consider resideboarding again, we do want to thank Ultra Pro quickly for helping out with this tournament. This week in the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Atlanta, featuring the Invitational, is brought to you in part by Ultra Pro. Ultra Pro sleeves that we have used many, many times.
Oh, yes.
Over the
best sleeves.
Yeah, our careers are so long. And just been sleeving up for just days and days. Again, remember, guys, Ultra Pro, the standard and safe storage, we want to thank them very much for helping us out with the Invitational this weekend.
And as I always say, don't be a regular pro when you can be an Ultra Pro.
Yep. And again, if anyone's wondering,
trademark, don't steal that.
That is trademarked and copyrighted, so don't steal that because you will owe us a lot of money.
That is my slogan.
Yes. So we'll cut back to the match here. Both players finishing up shuffling very, very quickly. It's going to be a fun game 3. Both players, not a ton of time. We're checking on the time very quickly just to make sure, again, they do have an extension. So you see 20 minutes on the clock right now. So, I mean, 20 minutes is not a ton. It's not a ton. It's enough to get the game done.
But Michael knows that you could tell he was speeding up. I think he's aware of the time. He knows what he needs to do. You mentioned this before. He plays blue-white decks a lot.
Yeah.
He knows their tendency to draw. So you got to pick up the pace. And Ben, Ben's a pretty fast player too. I don't think he kind of knows his deck in and out too. So I don't expect them to draw as long as they can keep the pace up a little bit. Yeah. And it definitely looks like they're aware. Sometimes in the feature matchups, we'll notice that the players just don't seem to be aware of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas these two players definitely seem to be aware of how much time is left around.
We take a look at Hetrick's sideboard really quickly here, as we know that Ben is on those duresses and those Sorens and those intangible virtues. You see 2 tragic slips, 3 vampire nighthawks, 2 planar cleansings, 2 duress, 2 purify the grave, 2 rest in peace, and 2 negate. So a lot of a lot of 2-ofs, excuse me, just because he does have think twice and all these other ways to be able to get through his deck to find those 2-ofs. Planar cleansing is probably going to be a big one in one of these games here, because again, Friedman did not see that coming. Now, I know Friedman and Hetrick, they do associate with each other. They are friendly. You know, how much sharing was done over the course of this tournament? Does Friedman know that Hetrick does have planar cleansing? That's a good question. We don't know the answer to that. But we kept talking about how planar cleansing would turn the game around for Hetrick immediately, and we saw that Michael did draw into one, but did not need to catch it to win the game. Maybe Friedman plays in such a way that that planar cleansing does become a backbreaker.
Yeah, and again, does he have the aristocrat draw, or does he have this intangible virtue draw? Because depending on that draw, planar cleansing might not be nearly as effective.
Yeah. So we'll see, as both players are looking at their opening hands here for game number 3.
And likely we're probably just seeing, you know, those 10 cards come in. Blasphemous Axe probably not in the game board main deck anymore. Neither is Tragic Slip.
Now this is the one matchup where you just can't combo them out. As we do see both players just starting off with a few dual lands here. We'll see if Ben does have a decent follow-up here, as it looks like he does have a Dragon Skull Summit, but obviously looking for white mana, as you see an intangible virtue.
And it looks like he does have a Goblet Shrine, so he has the white
with an intangible virtue.
It looks like he has Cartel Aristocrat and Sorin too, so he has some pressure. Maybe a Doom Traveler. Definitely Sorin in there.
Ben's going to untap. He's going to draw. He draws a Dragon Skull Summit for the turn. Let's see what his follow-up's going to be. It's going to be
Lingering Souls. Turn 2 Intangible Virtue. Turn 3 Lingering Souls.
Too good for block.
Too good for block?
Yeah.
Pretty good for standard.
Yeah, not so bad. As you do see some Spirit Tokens coming here for Ben. Hetrick's going to cast a Think twice. He's going to draw a card. You see Jace the Memory Adept. You see a Hollow Fountain in his hand. Looks like we might see a Supreme Verdict or 2 over there as well. He's going to be under the gun very, very quickly here.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where Supreme Verdict just isn't very good against this board, and the duresses in Ben's sideboard can be huge if he's able to hit a timely planar cleansing. Because planar cleansing is one of the few cards that kind of can deal with planeswalkers and intangible virtue. So if this Sorin resolves this turn, which it looks like it could, then Michael's just going to be under one of these. It's going to be one of these games where do I get the planar cleansing and play or not? Because he doesn't even have a Restoration Angel to deal with it. Last game, he had a Restoration Angel to deal with the Sorin. This game, not as lucky. So it looks like Ben's is going to go for the Sorin, not afraid of a counterspell, which it doesn't look like Michael has. And now, is he going to pump it up one? It looks like he's going to make a Vampire.
And then maybe start taking it down.
And he might take it down next turn, depending on what happens. And we still have the other side of Lingering Souls threatening to come back from the graveyard as a follow-up to a Supreme Verdict, which is exactly what Michael's casting this turn. So Supreme Verdict, trying to buy himself some time so he can dig for that planar cleansing. He does have a Jace in his hand too. I wouldn't be surprised if Jace came down. If he didn't draw anything good, he might just play the Jace and try to tick it up and draw a card. It's another way to draw a card. Ben probably won't attack the Jace. He probably just wants to go after Michael's. With Michael only at 12, he might just want to make a Vampire here, flashback, Lingering Souls, and then pass the turn back.
A ton of options. I mean, he has to figure out the way how he wants to pace the game.
Yeah.
You know, because he's certainly ahead right now, but he wants to be able to maintain that advantage and not let Hetrick catch back up. Which Hetrick, I mean, he needs to be able to draw some cards to be able to do that and facilitate everything. But when you're ahead like Ben is right now with the Planeswalker, as it is going to go down, and we're probably going to see Lingering Souls get flashback here. He wants to make sure he maintains this advantage that he's built off of Intangible Virtue and Sorin.
And it's interesting that he would take it down. Okay, so he's making he's making a Vampire this turn, and it looks like we're gonna get a. Can't see what. Looks like he has a High Priest and a Cartel Aristocrat in his hand. So yeah, he does make an emblem for himself, and he's gonna flashback Lingering Souls.
So again, he just does put some threats onto the board, and he's basically pacing the game. That's what I call it. You know, basically breaking up and pacing the game, so you know this forces Hetrick to have another Wrath or another mass removal effect, and then the next one, you know, he maybe ticks it up, maybe plays another guy, and is sandbagging the real thing that he cares about playing. But Hetrick has to deal with this next wave, this wave of creatures right now.
Yeah, and this is a really aggressive line for Ben because he loses his Sorin, but he is threatening lethal this turn. Although you have to assume if Michael has an Azorius Charm, he survives this turn, and then the planar cleansing would be really bad. But Ben does have a follow-up, so this is actually I kind of like this play. It forces Michael to do something.
It is aggressive.
It's aggressive.
Very aggressive. I mean, if for me, I give Hetrick some credit for having something here. As you're going to see a Skirt Stack High Priest. I mean, he is extending very far here. I just give Hetrick a lot of credit. I mean, he's got a million cards in his hand. There's so many cards he can have. Restoration Angel, like he casts Devour Flesh in response to that Skirt Stack High Priest. There's just a lot of cards where, you know, I want that Sorin. I want that Sorin in play.
Yeah, and because he plays the High Priest too, another. I don't believe he has a 6th land, but a top deck Supreme Verdict, or even a Snapcaster Mage, because like Ben doesn't know that. Oh, so wow. So Michael's only going to go to 8 this turn.
Yeah, so you see 2 Azorius Charms here. You know, maybe that's unlucky for Ben. You know, what have you. I mean, 1 Azorius Charm's okay, but again, at the same time, like, are you going to move in and just assume your opponent has no Azorius Charms? It just doesn't feel realistic to me. And you bring up Snapcaster Mage, which is a card that Hetrick does have in his hand now.
So if he draws a 6th land, he can flash back the Supreme Verdict. So, yeah, very aggressive line from Ben. Not sure why he wanted to give up. Obviously, if Michael has nothing.
Yeah,
you're probably going to win that turn, but you have to assume because even if Sphinx is a revelation for 1, he survives that turn.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And as you said, if he has nothing, then you win. But if he has nothing, how is he beating your Sorin with nothing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think you can afford, and I knew he was going to take that line when he downgraded it last turn.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you make a vampire and uptick it? You know.
Yep.
So I was questioning why not just make a vampire, flashback Lingering Souls, play the Cartel Aristocrat, then uptick next turn if you want. You know?
Now maybe Friedman's line of thinking is, okay, so he had something to take care of this. Look at the board that Friedman has right now. You see a 4/4 Cartel Aristocrat, you see a 3/4 or a 3-power Skirt Stack High Priest. So he still has a pretty good thing, but now you're going to see a Supreme Verdict here off Snapcaster Mage, and now everything is reset. Now Friedman has some work to do, and let's see what he draws for the turn. Because imagine if he had Sorin right now, as he does draw a Falkmouth Aristocrat off the top, which is that lethal? Yep. This is, because of the emblems.
Yeah.
The Sorin emblems, so that is lethal.
So Ben played it perfectly. Yeah, again, it's a little strange.
Holy crap! What a top deck.
If Ben just makes a vampire, plays the Aristocrat, flashback Lingering Souls, untaps, then uses the emblem on that turn, because of the intangible virtues, he still has 12 damage, so he's still threatening lethal that turn. But if Michael has an answer, he still has a Sorin in play.
Sure.
So it's interesting, but sometimes it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
What? I mean, did you see Hetrick's face when we cut it? What a top deck! I mean, he was stunned. I mean, I honestly thought that this game was, I thought
it was a turning point.
Yeah, I thought that was the turning point of the match. You see him think.